The last couple of hours have been strange for Nintendo. Well, we got a bunch of different trailers and a release of a game, which is Mario Wonder and Tamagotchi Life. But recently, Nintendo just announced that the price of games is going to go up or maybe go down, depending on how you look at it. So let's get straight into it. So if we take a look at this post right here, you can see that Nintendo has officially announced that the prices of the game will vary. And I'm honestly shocked that this didn't happen sooner because it only makes sense. Digital games are going to be cheaper while physical games are going to be a bit more expensive. You can look at Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, how that game is $60 and the physical game is going to be $70. Now you can take and look at it as a good thing or a bad thing, because right now I'm not sure where I feel about this. I could be directly in the middle where this correlates to me. On one hand, I love collecting physical games. I honestly think physical media is the best thing possible. On the other hand, seeing a price increase is kind of scary. Or is this the price of the normal game and then we're getting the game cheaper when you go digital? This is really something where you have to ask yourself that question. Is it the game cheaper? So let's just say Nintendo made a $70 game. Is the physical version going to be $80 while the digital game is $70? Or is it going to be the reverse, where the game is base $70 and it's cheaper to buy the game digital if you want to? Is this where the variable pricing comes into play, where mostly every single game is going to stay how it is, but then you can go ahead and get the game a little bit cheaper? Or is it going to be how it's going to be much more expensive, up to a $90 game for the future? So let's just say that this goes on for the future, which it seems like it will. Well, the next 3D Mario, or heck, even the next Legend of Zelda game will most likely be that $80 price point. Are they going to sell the game, the digital version, for $80 and then bump the physical version up? Because right now, it's a little bit scary because in Canada, we've already been paying $100 for a game. Pretty much every single Nintendo Switch 2 game is $100. And then Mario Kart World is about $115. Then if this price effect comes into play where all the physical media is more expensive, is it going to be roughly $130 for a game? Or are we looking too deep into this? But overall, you might say that this kind of sucks in some ways, or you might say, hey, this is a good thing in other ways, because depending on how you buy games, it's either physical or digital, or even those game keycards. Now, it probably doesn't seem like game keycards are going to be more expensive than the actual cartridge, but it might, because it only makes sense. You see, you got your digital media where it doesn't really cost anything to ship across the world or anything. You just pretty much go on the eShop, and the only utility cost is essentially the Nintendo Switch and maybe the servers, I guess. But then with the physical media, you need to pack in that box. You also have to get the game cartridge itself, which all costs money. And then you gotta take that over and ship it across the world to depending the store location. But overall, speaking on store locations, it seems like stores are going to be able to make up their own price if they wanted to. Instead of an $80 game, you can make it $75 if that's what you want to. But overall, I'm not really bothered by this because it honestly makes sense. I don't think I'm too annoyed or mad at this price increase. It's just something that obviously we live in a time that things are going to change. Things are getting more expensive and digital media might come and take over at some point, but I honestly would have thought that Nintendo would have done this years ago. At this point, it only made sense. It was only a thing bound to come, which, you know what? It's completely okay. It's completely okay in my opinion, because we've already seen this with third-party games, and I don't think there's necessarily a problem with that. If you look at it, Hades 2 for the Nintendo Switch was about $30. You can buy that game for $30. But then the physical version was about $60, which, like, hey, it makes sense. You have to buy the cartridge, which is $16 on top of the game. You have to pay for the whole box and everything. So let's just say that that entire process was maybe like $25. So there you go. You're pretty much paying what you want. If you want physical, that's your decision. If you want digital, that's also your decision. So it's completely up to you how you look at this. But hey, honestly, I'm not really reading too much into this. I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing in many different ways. Now, you could just say Nintendo's a rich company. They're like the best-selling hardware manufacturers like ever. So they probably have enough dough, enough money to make more cartridges. I guess that's true on one hand, but like it just makes sense. So instead of raising the price of the game because you're not making enough, instead of seeing $80 games again, it might just stay to $70 to $60 because that right there makes sense. And then most likely when an $80 comes around, it's probably just going to be the digital version is going to be cheaper. I hope that's the case. I honestly hope that's the case because I'm not sure how I would feel if here in Canada a game is $130. Like you can only really get one game maybe for 130. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's like a whole day's of work right there. $130, which is kind of crazy. But anyways, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Nintendo did the right thing? Do you think, are you upset with the decision here? Or do you think it's like something that you would have thought, hey, this would have happened much sooner? Because honestly, it definitely would have happened much sooner, but Nintendo was like, you know what? We're good with this. People can get their physical media. It's not like physical media is just stopping. Because honestly, I would rather that. Keeping physical media as physical media. So if you want to just get the original cartridge because everyone's upset with game keycards, well then there you go. You can put the charge onto that. So instead of using more and more game keycards because you have to fill in that blank gap, well then you can sort of make the digital media sort of like a premium option. If you want to physically own your collection of games, well guess what? You can go to the store and buy it for a bit more money. This could honestly mean the end of game keycards because then companies can charge more for the physical product and then less for the digital product. So it honestly is fine. Like I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this decision. Besides a $90 game, I think I would probably tear my hair apart, you know, I'd be really upset. And a $130 game would be kind of crazy. Up to $150, wow, we're pretty much already there with the DLC for some games. It's overall just a crazy situation. But yeah, I honestly want to know what you think about this. Are you still going team physical or are you going jumping the boat and going team digital? Because hey, it's completely up to you how you think about this. But overall, I'm just going to let you know that I am not giving up on physical media. I think this might be the beginning of a new physical media era because then you have the decision, you have the option to choose which one you want. So overall, thank you so much for watching. Hope that you enjoyed. Consider hit the like button, maybe subscribing if you're new. We do a bunch of different Nintendo content on this channel. Anyways, see ya.